coming from Bloomberg. And you might have saw this tweet that got ratioed to hell. And yeah, we're gonna talk about it because it got ratioed and it got exactly what it deserved. If we're gonna be 100 about it. But what's going on is you're seeing Branch Covidians, as I always say, they lined up to get the jab. A lot of people after that, you started to see slowing down, a near falling off a cliff of people just simply not lining up to get this vaccine because they've assessed the risk. They'll call you vaccine hesitant or whatever, but they've mostly just people that have assessed the risk and decided that, look, this is not for me. That is obviously well within their right to do so. But there was a tweet that went out by way of Bloomberg that you may have saw that had of this title. What happens when the vaccine incentives aren't enough? Reluctant citizens can slow down herd immunity, which, remember, they said wasn't a thing before, or they didn't know, right? So you couldn't be used as a conspiracy theorist. Now all of a sudden herd immunity is a thing. Despite abundant vaccines, compulsory shots are unpalatable, but may be necessary. When much of the world is still desperate for COVID-19 vaccines, a handful of wealthy places are beginning to have the opposite problem. Hong Kong is one. Despite a free and easily accessible program open to all adults since April, only just over 10% of the population of 7.5 million has had both injections, with low rates even among the oldest. Hesitancy is so high that only half of the residents say they intend to get the vaccine. Again, that's always hilarious because they word it in a way like you don't know, like you're going to do it. You just don't want to do it fast enough. Like maybe this is just our position. Maybe I don't want to get this vaccine. Maybe I am a young man who is generally healthy. And yeah, I may get sick. More than likely, I'm not going to be hospitalized and I'm not going to die from it. All the data points to that. I don't want to inject an experimental vaccine into my body, and it is albeit experimental because of how fast that it's rushed out. There's been no long-term assessment. Maybe I just don't want to do that. It's okay. I'll assume the risk. And if you get yours and the vaccine works in the way that you said it works, you shouldn't be even worried about me. The only people that are going to be also having to have some sort of conflict with this are going to be the other people who also are getting out there and assuming the risk. This isn't about hesitancy. This is just about assessing the risk. And this is all like the fact that they act like we're obligated. We're under some sort of obligation to want to get this jab is amazing. The combination of political upheaval, distrust in the government, and success in keeping caseloads low makes Hong Kong an unusual, even extreme example of reluctance. As seen in studies of attitudes of other control measures compared to Singapore and Malaysia, but territory is far from alone as the rich world shifts from shortages to indifferences. Yeah, so like, again, y'all were lining up and we couldn't get enough. We didn't have enough vaccines to go around. Now we got plenty because y'all already got it. The Branch Covidians got it. Where's everybody else? Inoculated to allow a safe reopening. No, it was already, we need to reopen. I mean, we should have never closed. The question arises of how government push populations if or probably when, hence cash, free burgers, like while bribing, prove insufficient. If all that prove insufficient to reach herd immunity, which they said again wasn't a thing, the vaccination rate roughly 70% or more that's necessary to protect everyone. It's uncomfortable to argue obligatory jabs. Wow. Even in a pandemic that has devastated families globally. Yet, if we don't get better levels once vaccines are fully and freely available, some degree of compulsion may be necessary. The benefit is far too great, and risk and sacrifice asked citizens too small to ignore. Yes, the virus is a 99% survival rate. Authorities in England estimate that by the end of April, vaccines had inadvertently at least 11,700 deaths among those aged. So basically, it stopped those amount of deaths. Of course, it's many times there. Public health usually operates on sliding scale of state involvement. Blah, blah, blah. In recent days, talking about Hong Kong, nothing Unfortunately, encouragement isn't likely going to get us the way to herd immunity or not in enough places. So what happens then? Leaving aside employers where arguments are different, is it acceptable for a government to consider disincentives mandating vaccines for activities like eating or even going to school, as already happened for childhood shots in many places? Vaccines are the greatest gift of public health after clean water. Should we consider an even tougher line? Full compulsion. This is a fucking psychopath, which implies fines or even prison, as opposed to simply not getting benefit or service, isn't easily embraced. For me, that's less of arguments around personal liberty, because this is a what? Then because of the deep polarization in many societies, including the U.S., that would only worsen such an approach. More importantly, some reasons deterring people from vaccinations, distrust of health or political authorities, or pressing medical or shelter problems deserve to be tackled, not papered through. Like, without the compulsion yet, this is how they end, and hopefully it won't get their implementation will get messy and the pushback likely. Yeah, some of y'all can get shot, and you're creating conflict. When I say some of y'all can get shot, I'm not talking about people shooting at people trying to ensure that they get a vaccine, but also the people that resist, because that's what compulsion implies, and they'll talk around it, but that's what it means. You were forced to get it, and in the event that you resist, they can fucking kill you. So this whole what's the big deal? That's the big deal. People get choked out for less. Ask Eric Garner. My idea has been simple. Go fuck yourself. And this is my thing. Just a quick challenge, and I'm gonna end a segment on this. For everybody that's wanting to try to force or think that it's okay to force people to get experimental vaccines, here's my suggestion, or just a challenge. How about this? Don't send the state to go do it. Don't send the state to go do it. How about you, the person that's advocating for it or thinking that that's a potential? How about you come do it? Of course, that's not the position that's going to happen. No, you send the goons to go do it. But why don't you come fucking do it? And this is why you wonder why I rally so much against the state. That's because of what it is. It is the strong arm of these people. And unfortunately, unlike, which is frowned upon when a local gang or something does something bad like that, it's frowned upon, right? It's frowned upon. That is bad. That person belongs in prison. But when the state gets to do it, when the state gets to be the strong arm of these authoritarian little asshats, well, we just got to do it because government good. All right. If it goes there, which it shouldn't, and I don't think it will, but if that's the route that it goes, you are ensuring conflict. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.